Good morning, good morning. I believe this is working. If someone could just, if you could just comment below to make sure you can hear me. Yes. Hi, Christina. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to our fall semester. Excited to be back. Okay, great. Everyone says like, you can hear me, great. So once again, just good morning, good morning. I'm happy to be here. I have to say, this is the first time I've done a workshop, so I'm excited about presenting this information, and it's great content just really to kick off a new semester. Hopefully we have more students coming back. Unfortunately, I know in our department we have more students wanting to go more online, so maybe not as many face-to-face. I feel like there's might be a little more of that going on across the board, but still excited to be kicking off a new semester. Sorry, I'm dropping stuff over here too. All right, so today is all about time management, as well as closing and doing gap. So as we kick off the new semester, and as you might feel going through all these workshops and preparing for the new semester, I know some of us, I know for me, I had things getting changed all at the last minute with classes getting changed around. So you might start feeling that sense of, I've got a lot to do, not a lot of time to do it. And that kind of creates a feeling of stress, overwhelm, maybe a little anxiety. So I figured this would be a great way to kick off the semester with going over some information on time management. To start, we want to think about what is your relationship with time, first and foremost. Think about how you think about time, and how do you feel when you think about time. I know for me, what I used to always feel, and you've probably done this, said this, or heard other people say it continuously. I don't have enough time. I have too many things to do, not enough time to do it, not enough hours in the day, which seems to be a general consensus. In our field, in the health, fitness, science field, you hear that constantly. That's like one of the main reasons people don't even work out. And I guarantee you've heard this from students as well. I hear that consistently from students. I don't have enough time. You know, I'm taking all these classes. I'm working this job. They might be working 2 or 3 jobs. They're raising a family. So a lot of us say we don't have enough time. A lot of us make the excuses. A lot of us hear those excuses from other people. But I'm here to tell you that those are an excuse. We throw time under the bus. Time has never done anything to us, but we throw time under the bus, and I'm going to show you kind of why we do that. So first and foremost, we're going to start with how we actually, view time. So what is your actual relationship with time? And I just switched. I just skipped over. And I apologize. I've been trying to figure this out, but somehow the slides and some of these, when they reformat it, when they were uploaded, it kind of messed up the slides there. Thank you, Brittany. I'm glad to hear that that always happens. So when you think your relationship with time, think about our thinking causes that lack of time. Like I said, a lot of us say there's not enough time. I don't have enough time, not enough hours in the day. Time keeps flying by. I'm not able to get anything done. I have too many things to do, juggling too many things, as that little picture says. Your work, your family, maybe other activities and things that you're dealing with. So what we need to think about when you think about your relationship with time is your relationship with time should be what it says there, should be your main focus. Because we all have 24 hours. Everyone gets 24 hours in the day. So there's really no lack of time. It's thinking more of what is our thoughts and feelings associated with time. So if you think about that, everyone gets the same 24 hours in a day. And it all comes back to our thinking. So once again, I apologized. This is kind of a model that we use, and it can be for any circumstance. Today, we're going to be focusing more on the time. So our circumstance is time, not enough time. So if you look at the circumstance, I'm going to try to use this pointer up here. if you look at the circumstance there, and then also your thoughts. So the circumstance is time. What are our thoughts? Never enough. You know, we have too many things to do. It's all about lack of time, lack of time, lack of time. Too many things going on, not enough time. What feeling does that cause? For most of us, if we feel like there's too much going on and we don't have enough time, it creates this feeling of stress, overwhelm. You've seen it probably in yourself. You've probably seen it in other people around you. I know all of us have probably seen it with our students. I mean, almost daily. They have numerous things going on. So they have that sense of stress and overwhelm. And what action does that create? When you're trying to focus and work on things, if you're feeling stressed and overwhelmed, you start having this sense of spin, like you're just spinning around. It's more of a scattered action. Instead of really being focused on accomplishing things, you have more of, I'm too busy, I'm running around, you're all over the place, starting to work on this, do this, and you're all over the place. So the results you get is you don't get anything maybe accomplished, you're not moving forward, there's no growth, and you just continue that perpetual cycle of that stress, overwhelm, not enough time, and that sense of maybe feeling busy. And actually, in the last year, have started thinking about this more because I'm a single mom of 4 kids, have the full-time job, working here. You know, I've started some other side things. I've started a network marketing business. I've created a personal training business as well on the side. I still have 24 hours in the day, but somehow I'm able to accomplish this because I started changing my mindset. Like I said, the circumstance is time. If your thoughts are always not enough time or that lack of time, you're going to create these feelings of stress and overwhelm. And you might even hear people say all the time, I'm busy, busy, busy. I was a way. I used to hop out of bed like my pants were on fire, like, all right, we got to go. And it was like, pedal to the metal from the minute I got out of bed to the minute I lay back down. And I've changed my thought process so that I can get up and changes my thoughts, it changes my feelings, therefore it changes my actions and my results. So let me see if I can get to this next one. So if you feel like you're always racing against time, like I said, you probably have seen this with yourself, with students, they're stressed, they're overwhelmed, it creates anxiety, they're feeling busy, they're distracted. Instead of focusing on what they're doing right then and there, or what you're doing right then and there, you're thinking about the next task that you need to accomplish. And a lot of us, I used to take a lot of pride in multitasking. I can be over here, but really I have found to be focused and actually much more productive, I have to focus on monotasking. Focus on one thing at a time and then move on to the next item. If I'm multitasking, I'm not putting that focus in each individual thing. It's kind of spread and I'm not as productive. But if I set that time aside, I'm focusing on this right now and I'll move on to this, I'm much more productive and I have more of a sense of calm and peace and getting things done and accomplished. So if you change that mindset and that thought, remember our circumstance was time, our thoughts were not enough, and once again, our little yogi is right in the middle of my slide here. But if you change the thoughts of, I have plenty of time, I have 24 hours in the day, I can get everything done. That sense of having plenty of time brings more of a feeling of calm and peacefulness. So you're calm, you're at peace. That leads to actions of more focused actions, that stops that spin so you can focus on what you're doing. Like I mentioned previously, the monotasking as opposed to multitasking. You really want to focus more on calming that mind, changing the thought process so that you give yourself that sense of peace and calm and get more focused action. That gets you productive and it gets you moving forward. That's where growth has occurred. And it makes a difference to not only you in your life, but the people around you. Think about if you've been around someone that's anxious and overwhelmed and tense, you pick up on that. And it's a ripple effect. So if you continually tell yourself you have plenty of time, I've started doing this and it has made a huge difference. I feel much calmer. I feel more at peace. I get more focused action done. It has helped with, when I'm at home with the kids, it creates more of a sense of peace and calm around the kids, where before it was like, the tension was just rising, rising, rising. So it does help. And if you're coming into a classroom full of students that are anxious, you might pick up on that, or they might pick up on your sense of rush, 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 rush. So think about plenty of time, change the thoughts, changes the feelings, which changes the actions, and therefore you get more productive results. Like I said, even that word busy, can be an indication of not enough time, that lack of time. I'm busy, busy, busy. Someone might be very busy, but they might not be productive. So being able to slow down, change that thought process, and get more focused, productive action is the ideal here. With this next slide, I'm going to kind of show you how the mind works and why the change in the thoughts has an impact on the feelings and the actions and the results that you obtain. So this is a picture Dr. Thurman Fleet drew. Oh, I just skipped over it. Dr. Thurman Fleet, back in 1934, I believe, drew this picture of the mind. He was a physician and felt like people were not, they were doing people a disservice of treating them, that they were treating the symptoms and that they needed to be treated holistically, treating the entire person. And so he came up with the idea, he drew this picture of our mind, because if you think about it, if you think about your car, a picture flashes on your mind. If you think about your front door, if you think about maybe the cup of coffee you had this morning, or maybe what your refrigerator looks like, you have images that pop into your mind. But when people think about the actual mind, a lot of times they think about the brain, but the brain is not really our mind. The mind is more of an action. And so he drew this picture and broke it down more simply into two parts of the mind: the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. And the conscious mind, if you see the 5 antennas up there, that's picking up our 5 senses, looking at, touch, feel, hear, taste, and sight. So those are coming in. That's all the stuff we're picking up through news, through social media, through, friends, coworkers. We're picking up all this information, and that is going into our conscious mind. And we have the choice of what we put into our conscious mind. That's our intellect, that's our thought process. That's where we can choose what goes in there. And those thoughts go in. When there's feeling attached to those thoughts, it goes into our subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind cannot decipher between what is impressed in there or not. But when there's feeling connected to those thoughts, it'll be planted into the subconscious mind. And through repetition, it'll stay there. So if we're constantly thinking about lack of time and feeling stressed and overwhelmed, those are the seeds that we're planting into our subconscious mind. And that'll just keep perpetuating that feeling of lack, and stress, overwhelm, anxiety, the sense of feeling busy, that's, unproductive, unfocused activity. What I kind of just explained, the energy is going in, we're picking it up on our senses. That conscious mind chooses our thoughts, our intellectual mind, and then your thoughts cause those feelings, then emotional mind. Your body only does what your mind your mind tells it to do. So if you're constantly telling your mind that there's there's lack of time, it creates a feeling of stress and overwhelm. Your actions are going to be scattered, and then your results are going to be not, maybe that lack of production, lack of getting things accomplished. But if you change those thoughts to, I have plenty of time, and think about it. Think about how you feel if you have plenty of time. Maybe, yesterday before coming back to work today, maybe, well, some of us were not here yesterday. Maybe you felt more at peace and calm. You're like, oh, I have all this time. So that's a different feeling, and that creates more of a focused, productive action and leads to results, much better positive results. This is just kind of the same thing, the thoughts, the feelings. Like I said, your body only does what the mind tells it. The body's basically an instrument of the mind. So it all starts with our thoughts and those feelings attached to it. And this is done through repetition. Just like anything, when you go through repetition, kind of learn a skill. So it's constant repetition. If I start feeling like a little overwhelmed, I start repeating to myself, there's plenty of time, there's plenty of time, there's plenty of time. And I gradually bring that sense of maybe overwhelm back down. So like I said, this is a kind of thing. I've been more recently working on this to coordinate my days. But that is a way I deal with it, just consistently repeating it to myself. And it does. It creates that sense of calm and peace, and know that I will get everything done. And as well as doing the monotasking, focusing on one thing at a time before moving on to the next. I used to come in, sometimes to work, I would come in and be like, all right, I have all this to do. What do I start with first? And I'm like, over here, and then over there, and then over there. So what I had started doing was, before I would leave at the end of the day, write up all my tasks for the next day. And that the mind wants order. So that puts order to my day. As soon as I come in, I just look at the sheet. I'm like, all right, that's what I'm doing today. That's what I start with, to the next, to the next. And we'll get into a little bit more of that as well. This is just a little bit more of the slide showing the mind, picking up the senses and the thoughts, and then going into that subconscious mind feelings. And the actions is the doing part. The conscious mind is the knowing, and the sinking it into with feeling, repetitive feeling. It's like planting seeds. I use the analogy of planting a garden. When you plant a garden, you don't just plant one seed. You plant numerous seeds because they don't always grow. Other things might come in and take them. So it's constant repetition of planting those seeds, basically in the subconscious mind, that ultimately will lead to different actions to get different results. Because if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always gotten. So if you're feeling rushed, lack of time, stressed and overwhelmed, and you continue on with that thought process, that's what you're going to continue to get. I'm going to show you this other, I love this slide. Because a lot of us, when we think about our results, a lot of our results, if you look at you today, oh, I don't know what happened, just slid back. Oh. So you today, the top circle, your results. A lot of us, through our experiences, our results that we've already gotten, we allow those results to create our thoughts. Those thoughts, therefore, create our feelings, therefore, create our actions. So if you've always felt rushed and felt like you had the results of maybe not accomplishing things, you're feeling scattered and spin, that creates that thought of lack of time. That there's not enough time, I have too much going on. That creates that feeling of stress and anxiety, and that therefore leads to actions of unproductive, unfocused actions, which once again leads to results of not maybe getting everything done that you wanted to get done. But if you change this and reverse this circle and allow your thoughts to create those feelings, so instead of letting those results of I haven't been able to accomplish a lot, you start thinking I have plenty of time, that creates that sense of peace and calm. Therefore, that creates actions of more focused, effective actions. Therefore, you get the results that you're aiming for. So instead of letting our previous results, we can't change what's already happened. Instead of using those previous results, dictate our thoughts, feelings, and actions, you take your thoughts, you can control your thoughts to create those feelings, which therefore create different actions and different results. And that's when you win. I'm going to skip down some of these slides. All right. So with that kind of being said, with the time management and thinking about the mind, how it works, conscious mind, the subconscious mind, A lot of us know what we should be doing, but then there's this gap of what we actually do. So they refer to this as the knowing doing gap. Most of us know what to do, but somewhere there's a disconnect of why we don't do it. Get on. Oh, what is going on here? Hold on. It just skipped out of my slides here. There it is. All right, so we know what to do, but we do not do it. So our habitual behaviors produce the same results. Our subconscious mind creates those habitual behaviors. So you think about it, if you get up in the morning, you probably go through a routine, you probably don't even think about it. Your subconscious mind is driving your actions and your behaviors. So you get those same results. You probably get up and go through the exact same routine. Some of you may be driving in this morning zoned out, or sometimes, have you ever gotten home and you realize, I don't remember the last 10 minutes of driving, because your subconscious mind is over. The things that you do repetitively, your subconscious mind will take over and create those actions, those behaviors, and give you those results. So part of what we're going to do today is take a look at yourself, take a look at the things that you want. So you should have printed out some of the sheets that I had up there, looking at your wants, and then we're going to look at how to basically close that knowing doing gap. So if you, let me see if I can pull it up. All right, I'm going to stop sharing for a second and show you this. You should have, I'm not sure why it's not showing me. Huh. So I'm trying to change the view. I don't know if you guys can see me or on the big screen. I just see myself down in the corner. So go ahead and get your sheet of your what do you want. There, and I gave you two. One's for personal, one is professional. Here we are at the beginning of the fall semester. So if you want to start with the professional wants, what are the things? What are the goals or things that you would love to achieve? Maybe just this semester alone, or maybe by the end of the spring semester as well. And the other one, if you want to do this later on, what are some of your personal wants? What are some goals that you personally would like? Is there a house on the water, a new car, or whatever it is that, a nice, happy relationship, or something else of that nature would be more the personal wants. But if you think about your professional wants, what is it that you would like to achieve? Is there a certain way you'd like to be able to interact with the students, get more engagement with your students? What are those professional wants that you really want to do and accomplish? So I'm going to have you start. We're just going to take a quick little 5-minute break and write out everything that you would want to accomplish in the next semester. And if you have any questions about that, you can just pop them up there in the chat. what I'll have you do in the chat when you feel like you've completed your wants, just pop up something. When I start seeing a lot of people saying they've completed their wants, we'll move on to the next part. All right, so it looks like many of you are finishing up. So if you look at your wants, whether you're professional or personal, I know some of y'all talk about wanting to work out more. Maybe it's to be better, healthier, wealthier, or just overall happiness. Or maybe those professional ones, like I said, really engaging with your students, especially with the climate of the last year or so, and the change in how we actually teach. I know for us in our department, we've had to change drastically how we kind of teach and interact with our students with COVID. We're definitely more hands-on. We prefer the face-to-face, but we've had to switch to online. So with those wants, you want to think about, you should also have a sheet with the action steps. With the professional wants, think about 6 things that you could do to get you to that want. So maybe it is, I'm going to design, maybe it's a certain project that you've designed. Maybe it's a different assessment that you've never done before. Maybe it's a different way. I know for me, with some of my online classes, I want to do more interactive live features with my online classes. So that's something I can design some action steps of how I'm going to set it up, how I'm going to tie it into the curriculum I already have set forth. So I want you to think about 6 action steps towards that goal. Or select, just select like one to 2 wants is best. We don't want to overload. Whenever you're trying to make any changes or improvements or reach towards a goal, the best thing is to focus on 1 or 2 things at a time. Too many things, you will feel overwhelmed. A lot of research shows you're just not going to be as successful. And a lot of people try to force changes as opposed to really breaking them down. And they can be successful for about a week or 2, and then because it's forced, they fall off the wagon. I mean, we see it every year at New Year's Eve, your New Year's Eve resolutions. Particularly in gyms. If you go to a gym January 1st through right about Valentine's Day, if not sooner, the New Year's resolutions people come in, and then usually by February 14th, statistics show most New Year's resolutions are out the door. Most people look at it and say, I guess I'll wait until next year again. So we're going to focus on 1 to 2 things, no more than that, at a time. So when you've written up your 6 action steps, once again, you can just comment down below. And if you're wondering why I'm having you write out your wants and your action steps, is once again, the mind likes order. So if we focus and really think about the things that we truly want, and then start really thinking about maybe the steps to take to get there, that can create order in our mind to allow us to achieve those. It's not funny, John. John's saying he doesn't have time for his action steps. You know, I know a lot of times when we're trying to do things, we focus a lot on strategy, and not as much on just the thought process of it. It is funny. We used to always have a saying, you know, when I was in college with running, it was 10% physical, 90% mental. And there's Bob Proctor has been studying this information for over 60 years now. And he has found that, you know, strategy is really only about 5% of it. 95% of it is mindset. So by changing our mindsets, focusing on what we truly want, thinking really about those steps and actions to take to get there, can help bring about that change in the mindset, which ultimately changes those feelings, which changes those actions, which changes the results. All right. So you have those action steps. That is the first part. You guys all might have planners or calendars or, you know, other little schedules. Maybe you have it on your phone. Maybe you have it on your computer, your calendar. This is a way to get yourself organized. These things are great, but until you change your mindset, they don't work. I mean, I get the calendars every year. I have the desk calendar. I have a, you know, the other calendar I carry with me. I will put stuff in there periodically. But for me, I just do a sheet of paper. I write this out every night. I even put times beside it. I think about the things I want to get accomplished in a day. But I have learned, because I used to always do this, I would overestimate what I could accomplish. I would write out too many things. And on top of that, I wouldn't stick to the schedule. So it's kind of like our schedules with classes. What I've started doing is when I design my schedules, I'm like, all right, this is the time I'm doing this. This is the time I'm working out. This is the time I'm, you know, reading. This is the time I'm studying this. This is the time I'm working on this project or, you know, this class. I'm thinking of like the last weeks we weren't really here. But I would set the time, I'd set the schedule, and have what's referred to as calendar integrity, meaning I do what I say I'm going to do when I'm going to do it. I set out other distractions. You know, this is the time to do this. Because if we don't do that calendar integrity, you might have felt or have seen someone else. I know I've done this previously. I would have my to-do list for the day. And then when I got to some of the items, I'm like, I don't really feel like doing that now. Maybe I'll watch a TV show. Maybe I'll scroll, you know, social media. And I found that I just kept pushing those items off and off and off. And that creates that sense of the lack of time, the overwhelm, the stress. So with this, I've started getting up a lot earlier, probably about an hour, hour and a half, depending on the day, to create more time in my day. I set my schedule the night before. I stick to my schedule, and I don't try to bite off more than I can chew. I break it all down. And I've learned through this process as well to, include eating. You need to include everything you do in the day. Eating, yes, attitude is top. Think about the most successful people are people with good attitudes, good positive attitudes, people that can look at a situation and always see something positive that came out of it. So being able to do that. You might have students that, that have bad attitude. You can just sense it, you see it. And those people will draw bad, negative things to them with that bad attitude. So having that calendar integrity is ideal. Blocking that time for certain activities. Like this is my work day. We block it like with classes, like you're back in school, the classes that we teach. That's how I would block my time and get it done. And when that time's up, either I didn't, I move on to the next item. So most people, if they're planning or working towards a goal, they will try to do too much too soon and get frustrated and then basically give up. So, break it down to smaller steps, those action steps. The other thing I've done with setting my schedule for the day is I have non-negotiables. So when you set your schedule, you want to have non-negotiables. These are the things I'm doing every day, no matter what. Physical movement is one of mine. If that's a motivation, if that's something you want to do to get more physically active, everyone really should have physical movement every day. Hydration. I do some studying and reading first thing in the morning. Income producing activities. So whatever work you're working on at that time should be part of that. So usually it could be around anywhere like 5 to 6 non-negotiables every day. I don't always feel like it. You don't always have the motivation to do these things. That's where the persistence comes into play. For instance, in our field with health and exercise, I like to work out pretty much, and I do work out pretty much every day, but it's not because I wake up every morning, jump up and say, oh, I can't wait to go do this. Some days, most days I do. I will say most days I do. But there are some days I'm feeling tired and run down. But I always think about how I'm going to feel once it's done. I might, I'm dreading it. And I'm like, oh, but I change that mindset. I start thinking of not how I don't want to do this and how I'm not motivated to do it. But I think about, what, once I'm done with this run or this activity, I'm going to feel so much better physically, mentally. And that's my motivation to move on. So it's the same thing. How are you going to feel once you accomplish these things throughout the day? You're going to feel much better. So always think about the end result as well. So you have your action steps. You focus on 1 to 2 goals. Create your schedule for the day. And set up those non-negotiables with yourself. These are the things I'm doing every day. All right, so moving on, we're going to move into that knowing, doing gap, because these are things you know what to do. Yes, sleep is something that's important to me. That's a non-negotiable. So I go to bed earlier. I get up earlier, so I go to bed, and I found that I typically wake up before the alarm goes off anyway. So, but sleep is vital. It's very important. It's very important to me. I get anywhere between 6 to 8 hours a night. So sometimes I, wake up, depending on if there's other things I'm working on. I usually try to go to bed between 9 and 10. I'm usually up at 5 in the morning. So if you have your know and doing gap worksheet, so with this kind of breaks it down to being more honest and aware of what's going on. You can think about a situation, maybe a goal that you've wanted. On this first part, you want to think about a situation where you're not getting the results that you want. So in as much detail, describe that situation. We have about 20 more minutes, so I'm gonna give you a few minutes to do this. So whether it be a personal situation, this professional development, so you can think about a situation maybe with students. What is it that you really want in respect to your classes, engage in the students that maybe you're not getting the results that you want, and describe that in as much detail on that sheet. And once again, when you feel like you've written up the description of what you're not getting, you can just comment, post something in the comments. Once you've completed that, on the next sheet that you have, in as much detail as possible, write that same situation, but in the way you truly want it to be. Write it in the present tense. So don't write, I will do this, say, I am doing this, or this is how, basically write it in the present tense about how it is now. If you completed writing your scenario of how you would like it to be in the present tense, start looking at the in both scenarios, highlight the actions in both scenarios. Look at those non-productive activities. And on that other sheet that is provided, you can write out the non-productive activities. And then also look at some of the activities that maybe the situation, how you like it to be, those productive activities. So we really got to take a look at ourselves, hard, honest look at ourselves of what are we doing that is non-productive and what are we doing that's productive. I know for me previously, it might have been maybe instead of, getting something accomplished at home, instead I'd be like, oh, I'm just going to sit down and watch some TV. Netflix. I mean, people talking about binge watching. a lot of time, that's a very non-productive activity. Scrolling on social media, it's a very non-productive activity. Maybe just flooding yourself with all the news that's out there coming from all sorts of different sources could potentially be a non-productive activity. I was great at this in college. When there was a paper due or a test due, my apartment would get very clean. I would focus on just scrubbing the apartment from top to bottom to just keep putting off the things I know I had to get done. So with those non-productive activities, what would be the opposite of that? You know, with our mind, we talked about the results. The results are either positive or negative, or our thoughts are either positive or negative. So if we have non-productive activities, you know, the law of polarity, what is the opposite of that? So if I'm spending all this time watching Netflix, the opposite would be I need to cut that TV off and work on that. That would be a much more productive activity to set schedule to work on the work and not blow it off and start binge watching Netflix or Hulu or whatever it is that you watch. And as you write all this out, start thinking about how if you changed all those non-productive activities to productive activities, would you ultimately get the results that you're striving for? Would you reach the goals that you want to achieve? And I have on that last sheet that quote by H.L. Hunt: decide what you want, decide what you're willing to give up to get it, which is maybe cut out the social media scrolling, cut out the Netflix, cut out those non-productive activities that are, you know, prohibiting you from reaching those goals. And set your mind to it and get on with the work. And for most people, once you start really focusing on take a hard look at yourself for what it is that you're doing. A lot of us have this mindset, oh, I should be, you know, I've had a long day, I should just be able to do this. Well, if you're really trying to accomplish certain things in your life, think about what is preventing you from doing that. What are the activities that you're engaged in? What's the thought process? So in order to make any changes, it starts with the mind. You have to change the thoughts. That eventually changes, you know, that changes the feelings attached to those thoughts. Like I said, for me, with you know, working out, there's some days I have the thought like, oh, I don't really feel like doing this. But I start thinking about the end result. So if there's certain goals that you want and you're not able to reach them, you keep getting the same results over and over and over again and never reach that goal, start thinking about those activities that you're engaged in. Think about the end result. Keep focusing on that end result, that final goal that you want, and start thinking about the actions, those productive actions you need to take to get there, and start replacing those non-productive activities. You have to cut stuff out. I've cut stuff out of my life. Like I said, I get up earlier than I used to, usually on average about 5 a.m. I usually wake up somewhere between 4 and 4:30, but I'm up at like 5 on average. That just adds more time to my day. You know, I get up, I can get stuff done. It's like calm, peaceful morning, particularly when the kids are there because they're still asleep, as opposed to jumping out of bed when they're there and creating a sense of rush and panic in the morning. So that sets my tone for the day. But thinking of those end results of how you're going to feel, that creates that feeling, that excitement, that feeling of, you know, accomplishment, whatever your goal might be, that therefore leads to those actions, which therefore leads to different results than you've currently have achieved. And this is just kind of a snippet of all these things that I've been delving a lot more into this. You know, the mind-body connection is huge. It all starts with your thoughts. So if you're starting to feel stressed or overwhelmed, or start really thinking about, you know, Ralph Waldo Emerson, his quote was, you are what you think about all day long. So if you're feeling stressed and overwhelmed, you're going to be stressed and overwhelmed all day. If I think John had put up there a good attitude. So if you have a good positive attitude, no matter what the situation, always try to find the good, that silver lining. That makes a huge difference. And what you eat, yes. You are what you eat. That is true because it gets into your cells. And it manifests into your body. So you're thinking into your results there. And this is something that not only you can use, but this would benefit so many students if we start talking about changing that mindset. I always say it. I have students that sometimes I can't do that, or even my kids. And I said, we don't say can't because, to me, can't is not a word. One way or the other, whether you do it by yourself or you get the help of others, you can accomplish whatever you set your mind to. And I've done that in my life. I've realized looking back through college and some of my accomplishments with running. When I first started college and my running, I was enjoying college, maybe a little too much, and I was running my slowest times ever. I even thought about, giving up the running altogether, but I stuck to it. I was like, no, I'm better than this. And I changed my mindset and started really working hard. And, I went from my freshman year thinking about quitting to competing at nationals within a few years. And shortly thereafter, I competed for the U.S. internationally. So I'm thinking back, had I just given up and quit, I would never have accomplished all those things. But it all came with changing my mindset. I think that's part of how I got to this position as a department head. I applied for this job 3 times, but I was like, I had a feeling, I always had the mindset, I will be department head, I'll be department head. I came in the first time, and then I started teaching as an adjunct, and the position came up again, and then eventually I became the department head. So just kind of a quick recap, thinking about your time management, start changing that mindset, start changing your thought process. That creates that feeling, so you have plenty of time in your day. You can start with your wants. What are the things that you truly want? You need to know what you really want. That creates order. If you don't know what you want, you're all over the place. Create that want, or write out what your wants are. There's a goal card as part of this as well. You can write up that goal card and a reminder. Take that goal card, look at it constantly, carry it with you all day long. Keep looking at it because that's your reminder of what you're striving for. Only put one goal in there. You can have a professional or a personal one, but just put one goal in there. That keeps you focused on that. And like I said, it's repetition. It's not like, a student can't just like read something once and then they will, that repetition, our skills, the things that we teach them, it's repetition. That's how you build the skill. That's how you get better at the things that you do. It's the same with changing your mindset. It's repetition, repetition, repetition. You need to keep planting those seeds in that subconscious mind so that creates those habitual actions and gets you better results, or those results that you're striving for. So figure out your want, set a goal, think about your action steps to get there, set up those non-negotiables, think about the situation that you're not getting the results you want, think about how you really want that situation to be, start digging into that and seeing what the non-productive activities you are. Think about how you can cut those things out of your life. I rarely ever watch TV. The only time I really watch any TV is if, maybe I sit down with the kids for a little bit when they're maybe watching a movie or something. But I rarely ever watch TV. So, and then think about how you can counteract those non-productive activities with productive activities to achieve the goals that you want and create just a better life and a better work environment, a better teaching, engaging environment for those students. If you have any questions, you can email me. I said this is just skimming the surface of this information. But I think all for joining me today. Happy to be back for this fall semester. Like I said, if you have any more questions, feel free to email me, and I will hopefully see you guys all out and about. Come join us at the Wellness Center. We have group fitness classes going on again with Chris, Brian, and Mike, and this will be awesome. So I'm so happy that we have group fitness classes going and the Wellness Center is all open. So I forgot who it was that, working out is one of your goals. Keep thinking about how it's going to feel once you work out. Think about that end result of what you'll get once you start doing it and stick to it. So, all right, you guys have a great day. Enjoy the rest of the workshops and enjoy it. Thank you once again. Appreciate it.